Welcome to Productive Joy with Dr. Christie, where fun meets action.
Hi, friends. Welcome to Productive Joy. Oh my gosh. First of all, this is episode 300. So we're so excited. Thank you for hanging with us. It has been an absolute wonderful ride, and I can't wait to keep going. So today we have a very special guest. Maaya Konishi is so many fascinating things. So she is the CEO of Communica. She is an author. She is a global speaker. She leads with language and courage and clarity. But she's also a golf enthusiast, like legit plays all the time and is on the amateur circuit and working really hard. And this week happens to be Golden Week when we're recording, not when it comes out. And she's going to play a lot of golf this week, which is important. In Japan, they have a Golden Week in the spring. And she actually speaks 5 different languages, none of which are particularly rated. And she is our guest today on Productive Joy. Maaya, welcome.
Thank you so much for having me. And I can't believe this is your 300th episode. What an honor.
Well, it's an honor to get to talk to you, and it just so happened to coincide with number 300. Thank you.
Congratulations.
Such a journey. But I do believe that you might be the furthest from me while we are recording. So you are in Japan as we speak.
Yeah, that's right.
It's 8 o'clock in the morning, my time. It is 9 p.m. your time, same day. And you decided that you wanted to spend some time with us. So I need you to convince our audience in like 30 seconds or less that this 300th episode is going to be the best episode yet. What would you say to them?
これが一番最高のエピソードになりますよ. Decided to say that in Japanese.
Okay, tell us what you said.
That this is going to be the best episode ever.
Oh my gosh, I love it. I love it. Okay, so you have a love for languages. That is just part of who you are. And I'm curious where that started. So I'm assuming that you started speaking Japanese, but when did you start learning other languages, and when did that become such a big part of your life?
So my father's job moved him to the U.S. actually when I was 5 years old. So I went to an American school there, and that's when I first came in contact with the English language. And I think, it was just really fun to learn the language. And then later, my father's job took him to Indonesia, Jakarta. And there I went to an international school. So I met a lot of people from all over the world, and just kind of meeting them opened my world view, and like visiting their homes and meeting their parents, having food at their houses. It was all like a really cultural experience for me. So I think that really expanded my horizons and made me really interested in like language, culture, and how our brains work. And that's kind of why I decided to study linguistics.
Yeah. Well, and like Indonesian and Japanese and English, I don't think are similar in structure. I mean, they may be a little, but they say once your brain learns a second language, the third and the fourth and the fifth, like it just kind of opens your mind. But I want to back up because my daughter teaches kindergarten, and this year she almost always has several students who English is their second language. And this year she sent me a video of a little girl who spoke 0 English when she got there. She spoke Spanish at home. Nobody spoke any English anywhere. And within the months that Chloe had her, she got her not only speaking English, but reading a book to the class. And to me, that is such a light bulb moment. And you were that same age. You were 5 when you came here. Was there something about your teacher? Was there something about your family? Like, was your family learning to speak English at the same time? Like, how did that come to be? Because it's not exciting for everybody. Some kids really hate it.
Right. I think for me, it was kind of more out of necessity because my father, I think, spoke like minimal English so that he could do business. But then my mother did not speak any English. So I felt like I needed to, and actually I'm like the oldest of 4 siblings.
Oh, wow.
So I felt like I needed to take care of my family and that I needed to become a translator as soon as possible. So, whenever, my mother had to talk about like things around the house, she would call me, or, doctor's appointments or things like that. I felt like I needed to be there to help out. So I think that really pushed me to not just study, but just kind of like pay attention and try to absorb as much as possible. And then just from there, it was just fun, like, learning new words and like being able to communicate. So, yeah, but I do think that there was something in me, just like a pure love for the language.
Yeah,
And
there had to be. And that is really young to carry that responsibility. Yes, you had 4 siblings, but you also were only 5. So you were rising to the occasion at a very young age, and I think
But
that had
when
go
I
ahead.
talk to my younger siblings, they always say that, Maya, you're so bossy.
Of course they do, because you had to take charge. Like, hi, it's your job as the oldest.
Yeah, but they're always like, yeah, you always like, scold us and you always tell us what to do, but you're not always right. Yeah.
That's arguable, right? Like, I think I'm always right. Fine.
Yeah.
Okay, so 5 years old, you are speaking languages, but at some point you realize not only do I have this knack for linguistics, but I also have a knack for writing. And you're pretty prolific with your books. I found 4. Are there more than 4?
Oh wow, yes. Well, only one in English so far though, but multiple in
Only one in
Japanese.
English. I mean, well, I guess. So tell us about how your love for language transitioned you into an author.
Okay, so actually, so kind of going back, I realized that I really wanted to pursue teaching English. I wanted to like, kind of spread, how to learn English and how English is so important, even if you're living in Japan. And the reason why I started to, really feel that's important in my life is because right out of grad school, I decided to go into investment banking.
Okay.
And yeah, that was just the cool thing. You wanted to be, kind of like on Wall Street, in the Tokyo Wall Street, because that was like the really cool place to be. And I knew that people in finance made a lot of money. And I was like, that's what I wanted to do. And then I realized that was a huge mistake because I did not, in fact, like finance and I was not really interested in M&A. So that's when I realized that it's really important to pursue your passion and that, what you're passionate about brings you so much energy. And it's just like you have nonstop adrenaline if you're working on whatever you love and whatever you're passionate about. And I'm guessing this would be the same in the US, but in Japan, I feel like there are a lot of people who are kind of like going to work just because they have to.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so I wanted to kind of share that message with people around me that I think everybody has the passion, but they've either not found it or they've just decided to like ignore it. But just if you just take the leap and believe in yourself and believe that you can actually make your passion work, then it's going to make your life so much happier. So that's where I started to shift towards, I want to write about this topic and to tell people that that they should follow their passion.
Oh, I love that. And so that manifested into a book. And I'm not going to guess which one it is. Well, I kind of want to guess which one it is. Is it the Becoming CEO one?
Yeah.
Well, the others, it looked like
People are
one of
very-
them might have been for a younger audience.
Right.
So
Right.
pick out all of them and then focus on the Becoming CEO one.
Okay, sure. So yes, there are kids' books that I've also picked, kids' picture books that I've written. Those are for my kids' students who are, and I also want to kind of tell them the same message, the kids, that you should look for a dream, and you probably already know what you really want to be in the future. So pursue that dream and like look for a dream together is kind of the concept of my kids' lessons. And then for adults, yeah, it's more like the Becoming CEO. And the other books that I've written in Japanese are mainly targeted towards English learners. And I tell them, these are different methods that you can try to learn English so that you become a competent global leader / speaker rather than just continue to study grammar and vocabulary, which is kind of not going to get you onto the global stage.
No, and I sadly think that's the way languages are taught predominantly. I took a lot of Spanish. So I started in 8th grade, took it all the way through high school, then I took it in college. Can I speak any Spanish? No. And I know it's because I wasn't immersed in it. I wasn't given the opportunity. Like, we didn't speak it. We listened to somebody speak it, and then we wrote things, and that wasn't what I needed. What I needed was to be forced to not be embarrassed by my accent or by how, I grew up in Grayson County, Virginia, where we talked like this, like very Southern. And that's where I learned Spanish. So you can imagine that there was a juxtaposition of things happening in my brain.
Yeah.
But I think it's because, and I'm glad you've written books on it.
Sorry.
Oh, yes, I'm in Florida now. So I live in
Okay.
Florida, but I grew up in Grayson County, Virginia. It's in the Blue Ridge Mountains. Absolutely
Yeah.
beautiful. But we had twice
Yeah.
as many cows as we had stoplights, and one school that was a countywide high school. And I said that wrong. It's twice as many cows as people, one stoplight.
Right.
It was a tiny town, and I loved it, but learning another language was not necessarily high on anybody's priority list. It should
Right.
have been. And actually now in that same area, it's almost a half and half split of people who speak Spanish and people who speak English because migrant workers have come there and are working. So it's interesting how we don't prioritize it in this country. But when I traveled abroad, everybody speaks English. And you're like, no, why don't I speak your language? Like, that's bad or wrong. So I don't think we prioritize it. So backing up, you've written these books for people who speak Japanese but are learning to speak English. And then becoming CEO, how did that come to be?
Right. So it's been 3 years since I became CEO, and it's almost my fourth. And I decided that I should kind of, relive what happened, and also kind of encourage other people that, it's hard, but it's not that hard. Like, you can do it too. And I just wanted to share my story, I think. And yeah, just kind of push out the message that, your life is going to become so much happier if you do pursue your passion. And in my case, passion is language and linguistics and teaching, languages. So
What does your company do?
So we have training, like English classes that we do. And we also have leadership, like seminars. And I also do like lectures and kind of travel all over Japan to do seminars and like meet people and talk to people.
What's your favorite part about that? Because you kind of lit up when you talked about it. What's your favorite part?
Oh, I think seeing people change, like giving empowerment. I mean, I wouldn't say that like I'm empowering them, but just, when people change, when they say like, oh, okay, I'm gonna try this new thing, or, maybe I will, decide to study abroad, or, go visit a foreign country for the first time, or like get a passport, just people changing with small changes all over Japan. I feel like igniting that power is just very exciting for me. And of course, like on the higher end, when people are like, yeah, I decided to talk to my boss in English, or, I was able to have a discussion about this topic, with Americans, because that's a big deal in Japan. Like being able to talk to a native English speaker is a huge deal. So I think, people being able to do that is very exciting for them. So yeah, being able to hear about those successful cases is always very exciting for me.
Absolutely. I would call it productive joy, maybe.
Yes.
So now I get to ask you my favorite question, because for 300 episodes now, I have been asking people what their definition of productive joy is, and everybody gets their own. There is no right answer. There is no wrong answer, but I am kind of collecting those answers, and I'm in the process of writing another book, and it's about what does productive joy look like for different types of personalities, because ultimately what you find to be productive joy and what I do might not be exactly the same. So what is your definition? If you had to define it right now, how would you define productive joy?
I think for me, right? For
Yeah,
me,
for you.
it's really like being able to kind of share my expertise and share whatever I've learned with other people is, I think, just not only is it productive for me, but also for them. And I feel like we're all very happy about the fact that we're progressing in some way is like ultimate bliss for me, I think.
Well, it's you operating in your unique genius, right? So you are, it's clear that it's important to you that people, one, know what their passions are, and then two, pursue them in a way that can bring revenue, right? Like we have to survive, we have to make money. So how can we marry the two instead of I do my passion over here and it costs me money, and I do my job over here and I hate it? So putting those two things together, and one of my favorite things about hearing people's answers is how often it's about other people and not themselves. So when I ask about productive joy, even though it's personal, it's almost always when I can share with others, or when what I do helps other people. So you're right on brand, Maaya. for what I have been hearing. So well, like I said, there's no wrong answers. You could have said anything and it would have been fine. And I love to ask a follow-up question because as CEO, one of the things that you're responsible for is creating more of it. So how do you help the people that you lead create productive joy?
Yeah. So I think before it was really more about the people in front of me and the people that I could reach. But I think, like publishing or like traveling more or organizing bigger events is something that we're working on these days. And I think with that, like the responsibility as CEO is growing and growing. And I feel like, it's not something I've ever done before, but you just kind of have to believe in yourself again and kind of pursue it. So I think, yeah, definitely the concept grows and I feel like more people are involved and you have to make more people not satisfied, but you just have more responsibility.
Yeah. Well, and what I believe you to do, and this is just from our conversation today, but I think this is just who you are, is that you're looking at your team and you're saying, we have this task and we're not all going to be good at the same part of the task. But, Maaya are good at this and Christie's good at this and Jason's good at that, right? Like, so understanding that to put on that big event, you don't need to know how many chairs are going to be around each table. But somebody does, right? Somebody needs to have that logistical mind and somebody else needs to be the one that's calling the venue and making sure that they have the space and somebody else might be booking the food. But when you have people on your team that you know well, then you know what their unique genius is. You know what they're good at and you can put them in charge of those things, right? Like I surround myself with people who are good at fully and completely different things than me because I know what I'm capable of. But I think it's productive joy when I can put somebody else in charge of something, trust them fully, and not have to think about that anymore. And that's intimidating for some, right? And I'm curious, as CEO, you've built this company, and the company that you've built requires you to trust people with parts of it that you at one point probably ran yourself, right? Like, so when it was that you were running everything and you were doing all the things, and at some point you had to hand a piece of that to somebody else and say, I trust you. What was the hardest part about that? And what did you learn in that process?
I think hardest and also just I was really astonished that some people really like that part of the job. And I thought, you like this? Like I kind of felt bad initially, like to ask somebody to do some part like event organization, like, exactly like finding how many seats we need, like ordering catering, that kind of thing. And I was like, I'm sorry, but could you help me out in that area? And they're like, no, like this is so exciting for me. I think that was a huge realization that not everybody's brains are the same and not everybody wants to do the same thing. So that was kind of understanding that I don't have to feel guilty about it, I think was actually a huge learning experience for me.
Yeah, because we do, right? Like we look at things and we think, oh, I would hate to do that all day long, but some people love it. So I do a silly personality test. Well, it's silly. It works. It's actually based in neuroscience, but I ask people if they are a paperclip, a magnifying glass, a teddy bear, or a slinky. And we have some fun with each one, right? I am a slinky with teddy bear tendencies, which means that I'm the idea person. I can, I'm wide open. I think big and I go, oh my gosh, we could do this or this. But if I need to execute on this or this, I need a paperclip and a magnifying glass to get that done, right? That's not me. I can do it if I have to, but that is not where I'm at my happiest. There are people who live in spreadsheets, love them, and think they're the greatest thing ever. If you asked me to do that all day long, I would want to gouge my eyes out. Like, no, thank you. So I appreciate everything that you're saying, and I'm glad that I'm not the only one, that it took a little while for me to realize that other people might like something I didn't. I think that's hubris or self-absorbed. I just think that the older you get, the more you are exposed to the fact that we're not all wired exactly the same. And I'm grateful for it because I don't have all the gifts. I have the gifts I have. Well, I also love that in your book, you are describing to people what you went through, because I think there is so much power in being the person that you used to need, right? So Ed Milet is a podcaster and he says, that you're best equipped to help the person you used to be, right?
Right.
So you were best equipped to help somebody starting a business know all of the things that they needed to know to start the business. So you are talking to a whole bunch of people who want to create more productive joy, right? And these are leaders who are willing to try things differently or do things in a way that maybe they haven't before. So what advice, it could be from the book or just from you, what advice would you have for that room full of people that are listening right now and that you think will help move them in a good direction?
Mhm. So maybe in terms of personality, I feel like I really want to know how to do something before I start doing something.
Yeah.
So it's like if I decide that I want to start a company, it's like, well, what is the paperwork that I need to do? And like how much money do I need to have saved up? And I think those questions were really important in my head. So I'm assuming it is for other people as well that and then once you start to think about it, you realize like, oh, this is too much and I can't do it. So I would suggest that you do not think about the details and the how of how everything works, how all of that works, because that's just going to frighten you.
Yeah.
But rather just first, take one step at a time. And then eventually when you look back, then you're like, oh, so then I kind of became a CEO or like then I had a company, on listed or, but you don't need to know everything. And especially like like how do I do my taxes, all of these things, legal issues. I think you don't need to have all of those skills before you get started. So I think my biggest advice would be just do what you're good at and continue to do that. And then other things will follow. So don't worry about anything else except what you're passionate about.
Well, they call that paralysis by analysis, right? Like we get
Mhm.
paralyzed in the details and I don't know everything, so I'm not going to execute on anything. And I know I have gotten stuck in that myself where I'm like, okay, there are so many things that I love to do and I would love to be doing this and this, but there's just too much. And so I guess I'll just keep doing what I'm doing. And I think there are an awful lot of people, likely those who are listening to, who are stuck. And I think your advice is sound. That you just need to keep putting one foot in front of the other. I use the analogy often. I don't know if this is one that transcends countries or not, but there's a phrase that we use here a lot that's how do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time, right? Now, I have added a second phrase to that phrase. So, how do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time. Absolutely true. But it's a whole lot easier to eat with friends, right? So, if I
Mm.
have to eat this entire elephant, if I have this huge thing that I need to tackle, chances are good I can't do it by myself. I really need those different, like diversity of thought in my circle so that I am thinking about the finances, but I'm also thinking about the creativity and I'm thinking about the human power that I'm going to need. And I'm thinking about AI and I'm thinking about, all of the different pieces. And it's
Mm.
not just me, because if it's just me, it's going to be very one dimensional. So, how
Mm.
fascinating and wonderful that you are able to do all of that. Now, I'm curious, and I'm going to make a connection that you probably haven't had on a podcast yet, but let's see. You have this amazing business. You're linguistically minded. Is that a word? You are thoughtful with linguistics, language oriented, love all of these things. And you also love golf. Where do you see the connections between that particular sport and all of the things that you know and love?
What a great question. So the reason why I decided to take up golf is because a lot of CEOs, like male CEOs, play golf.
Yep.
So I thought that was good. And it was very frustrating at the beginning because you think like if you just swing at the ball, you'd
It'll go where you want it to go. It does not.
it does not. The ball just stays right there. And I thought, how humiliating, right? You
Yeah.
take so many swings and yeah. And that's just at the driving range. And then once you get onto the course, like that's another story. And you just kind of make a huge fool out of yourself. And then I thought, oh, this is so good because not only am I going through the same process as my students, when I'm pushing them to speak English and say, like, don't be embarrassed, just do it. I felt the same way on the golf course every week. It's like I'm making a huge, full out of myself. And I'm running all over because I can't find my ball. And then I don't understand the rule. But I think I realized that this is what it takes to take up something new. So I actually relate a lot with my students because I always tell them, this happened to me at the golf course this week. And I know you guys are really, embarrassed or really nervous, but I also felt the same way. But I've been now golfing for over like 13 years now. And I realize it's the same. Like you just have to continue. And when you do, you get better at it. And so it's just very satisfying. So I feel it's the same as English. Actually, I love that question.
Well, you should start using that analogy out loud, not just with your students, right? Because I think there are tons of parallels. It's a humbling sport, right? Most of it happens between the 6 inches right here, right? Like it's a very mental game. And you can be great at it one day and terrible the next, but you always go back to play. I feel like, so I have golfed very little. My husband and my son both love it. And I know that it takes discipline, it takes practice, but I recently had a guest on that said, we get better at the thing we practice, right? Meaning, if you're coming home every night, sitting on the couch and watching Netflix for 6 hours, you're practicing that and you're getting really good at it, right? So we have to choose our hard and decide what we're going to practice. And you're practicing the art of discipline and getting better, and that translates with the languages too. That's just, well, it was a great correlation that I figured you would make, and I'm glad I asked the question.
Yeah, but I must admit I am guilty of the Netflix thing.
Well, sure, we all are, right? But then we wonder, why am I struggling with this thing over here? Because I'm not practicing it, right? Like I want to go to the gym every morning. Okay, great. Well, if you're not practicing that, if you're not putting yourself to bed early enough so that you can wake up and you're coming up with excuses and you're pressing snooze, you're practicing the wrong things. So
That's true.
practice the things you want to get better at.
Mm.
Well, Maaya, you have been fascinating, and I am so grateful that you stayed up late to talk to me. And I have some rapid fire questions for you. Are you willing to answer them?
Oh, yes.
Okay. Question number 1. What is your definition of fun?
Ooh. Discipline.
Oh, nice. You know what? Most people wouldn't answer it that way, but I think that's indeed true for you. I love it. How do you know that you're showing up as your authentic self?
I think I'm relaxed when I am. Yeah.
Yeah,
No tense shoulders.
Oh, no tense shoulders. I like the specifics of that. Okay. How do you channel your best self on your worst days?
Oh, yeah. I think so. Kind of going back to the discipline, I think I trust that I put in the work. Maybe not then, but in the past, I have to have put in some effort that I'm ready for that day.
I really like that because I think sometimes we let imposter syndrome creep in, or we think, oh, I'm not capable of this. But the reality is we have prepared ourselves for whatever we're facing. We might not have been in this moment before, but I love it. Okay, last question, tough question. You've said some really fantastic things, and you are such a fascinating human being. And people by nature will only remember one thing from a 30-minute chunk of time. So what's the one thing you really want people to walk away with today, Maaya?
So I want to say that English learning or language, taking up a new language and learning golf is very similar.
So what's the major lesson that you would learn from both, from golf and in learning a language? Is it never give up? Is it be patient? What is it?
Yeah, I think it's be patient. Yeah.
You're not going to get it right the first time. The ball is not going to go exactly where you thought it would.
So it's going to be like a breakthrough.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, I love it. Well, thank you so much for being my 300th episode. How exciting is that? And
It was so much fun.
it was so much fun. And listeners, my goodness, I mean, this is literally coming from the other side of the world for you. And I am so hopeful that you will take something from this particular episode and you'll use it. Maybe you'll go take up a sport because you realize that the discipline that's required of that will help you be better at your job. Or maybe you're going to go find the thing you're passionate about because you're tired of getting up every morning and hating what you do. I don't know what you're taking with you, but I do know that if you don't take something with you, then you are absolutely going to get nothing out of this. And that's boredom, and that's not okay. So Grab something that you can use right away and figure out a way to turn fun into action.